joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I was wondering when you and Framus first hooked up together.
It must have been 2013 or 2014. So I don't know how many years that is now, but enough that my relationship with them has become really solid. And I think what's really important to me with any relationship, and I was at ESP when I was younger. I had a brief relationship with Peavy that, although I liked them, didn't work out. And I've always been looking for a home, I think. And as opposed to just playing whatever and buying my own instruments, I'm looking for something that the company can really see through my ideas. And a lot of times in other guitar companies that I've had opportunities to work with, their production is limited to a certain amount of modifications or a certain amount of custom options. And I got together with HP, Hans Peter, and Marcus then, and I remember telling them, like, look, I'm right out of a relationship, and I don't want to jump into something because I take committing to things really seriously. And I said, but unless it's going to be correct for me, and I've got a real specific set of things that I'm looking for, I'd rather not continue this relationship. I mean, I can purchase something off of you or what have you, but I don't want to get into bed unless it's right. And they really played it right in that they allowed me not only to try whatever I wanted, but then to propose design ideas, this being a design that I had a huge part of. And then once we made the prototypes, I was able to tour with them for a year. And so by the time these were made available, they were exactly what it is that I was looking for. And I'm very satisfied with it.
So this is the 7-string Stormbender?
Yeah.
How much back and forth was there between you? How many prototypes along the way?
Oh, tons. Huge amounts.
Yeah.
I mean, little things, it's the devil's in the details, and I think that's what actually drew me to this company as well. It's, you know, the lines around where the cutouts are, and it's just the attention to getting it right and the crispness of the detail, and, you know, allowing me to sort of experiment with certain scale lengths and all this. By the time it was done, it took a ton of iterations, and included in that was, you know, we would do slight modifications of the body shape, and then they would send me these wooden cutouts of it so I could put a strap on this piece of plywood and stand with it, and just sort of see how it would feel with me and my physiology. And it took a lot of work, but very much in their credit, they were completely patient the whole time. They just waited it out until I was absolutely satisfied, and then here we are.
What is it about the Devin bridge that you really like?
It's forever in tune. I mean, you know, I'd be lying if I said that I don't like old school sort of traditional guitars. I mean, I love an old telly with just strings in a ashtray and there's something really immediate about that I really like. But I find that the usefulness for that maybe extends to a bit of inspiration or this and that. But touring as much as I have, and with the attention to detail that I try and bring to the live performance, to be constantly in tune, and this is how it started, it's such a game-changing frame of mind to not have to, you can bend it and go crazy with it, and you can come off of a plane after it's been sitting in the cargo in the cold for 12 hours, and then all of a sudden it's a hot day, and any other guitar, the neck would just go bananas and it would be out of tune, you couldn't intonate it. So even with the neck, even if the wood changes or what have you, the Evertune, which is essentially an analog set of springs that you lock your tuning into with an Allen key, will compensate for all of that. And so we've shown up after these long flights and just hit the stage and I'm perfectly in tune, like, all the time. And then after that, it ended up being that I ended up relying on it in the studio, and then now I'm at a point where it's very difficult for me to be inspired to play a guitar that doesn't have it, right?
So, with all the back and forth and doing the tweaks, how did you know when it was done, when it was finished?
I'm proud to say I think I've got that as part of my skill set. I think I can let these things go at a certain point where you get to the point where it's diminishing returns, where you're like, okay, well, I don't know about this now, let's change it. And then before you know it, you're back to the drawing board about something. And I think my desire and my ability to commit to things certainly helps in that as well, because once I've reached the objectives, then I can let it go, because that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to chase my tail. I say this often, and I've said it over the past couple of days in a way that is important to say as well. There's a big difference between OCD and detail-oriented. I think OCD is a very debilitating mental condition that often leads people in circles, like turning off and on the lights 15 times and then wondering if you've done that. And, it's a hard thing. But detail-oriented, although it may appear on the surface that, this one little cut that you're obsessing about is something that is of no consequence, to me, it's a tangible difference when I get all those details into one place. So in that sense, it's not a disorder as much as just a very strong vision.
So introducing a new guitar into your rig, is there a flow-on effect? Do you have to tweak your pedals, your amps?
Well, not the pedals and the sound necessarily, but you just have to, each guitar has its own personality. I mean, you can have something running through, these world-class CNC machines and a ton of different things that people might use to keep production of it consistent. But ultimately, you're dealing with a piece of wood. You're dealing with something that has a certain grain, ultimately a certain personality in a way, and that's going to bring out different things in every piece that gets turned into an instrument. And as a result of that, you just got to have patience when you're integrating a new guitar into your world to make sure that you've got its personality in control.
What about the psychological effect of having a new instrument? Does it automatically inspire?
Not automatically. Not as much as it did before. I mean, I'm in a exceptionally fortunate position with my work to have a lot of really close ties with instrument companies. And so as a result of that, my tools are provided for me, which is fantastic. But as a result of that, I also find that inspiration comes in places that you don't expect. Like you might pick up some piece of crap guitar that you would never play live, but because it's not connected to your work in a sense, there may be something that comes out of that. Inspiration it's a hard thing to control, anticipate, or corral in any way. But I mean, these guitars are extremely inspiring to me. And actually, going back on that a bit, the last record, Empath, that I just finished, was all written on the new Stormbender models that I had. So they were actually very inspiring. I mean, it's hit and miss. You don't know. Yeah.
Can we talk about Empath?
Sure.
Yeah. Why is it called Empath?
I mean, not to a huge degree, but I've got a certain amount of empathic tendencies in terms of absorbing people or absorbing situations or scenarios, and that's one side of the coin, which I think on a mental health level I've investigated just to make sure I can keep myself protected from my tendency to do that. But I also think that empath as a concept is about it's about me allowing myself to represent a number of different musical aesthetics in one place. Usually I find the theme and I stick with it, so it's all mid-tempo, heavy metal or what have you. But this one, I came into the project with so many different styles, like some musical theater, some death metal, some prog, some meditational music. And the idea of empath almost gave me an angle to view each one of these different emotional qualities of these songs as a way to have a trajectory that leads the album to a conclusion. And I think the overarching theme is that we need to sort of be able to participate in other points of view, maybe other than our own. Because I think a lot of what drives people apart from each other is an inability to have any tolerance for things that are out of their sphere. So maybe the idea of empath sort of encompasses all those things.
From seeing some of your social media little videos and things, it seems like a very important album too.
I think it is, yeah. I think it is. It's Marcus. He's the one that helped me design the guitar. Because again, you can't see him, but oh god, oh my god, he's gonna get Zeta. What is it? Oh my god, that was disgusting. The I think he just licked the window. They just licked the window. So it is important to me, and I think it's important to me because it represents. Once I'm able to sort of dig deep into what it is that I'm trying to say, by the end of it, I find that I am able to identify its nature pretty succinctly. And by the time this one was done, I was like, oh, this is my midlife crisis album. You know, I've been doing this career for 25, 27 years, 46 years old. You know, my kid is like turning into a teen. A lot of what I decided that I wanted to do with my life, I decided when I was 15. And then when you realize that the trajectory of your life is the decisions of a 15-year-old mindset, sometimes that's a crazy balance to find. And so Empath served as an opportunity for me to really dig into some of those fears and to be unabashed about saying, okay, well, I want to do really heavy things, but I also want to do musical theater, and I also want to do orchestral, and I also want to do jazz, and all these things. And that's a big step, because if you've made a modest career doing something that doesn't include those things, I mean, it's a vulnerable place to put yourself. And specifically if the theme is about emotions as well, the combination of putting yourself out on the line stylistically and emotionally, and then mixing it myself and having it sort of tied into all this midlife crap. I mean, yeah, it was a heck of a process, man. But, sorry, it's just another one. So I realized at the end, I'm like, well, there's that one. You know, when you're deep in it, you're like, it's the only thing that's important. And then when it's done, you're like, yeah, there's that one. Next.
So what are you most proud of in your music career?
I didn't go crazy. You know, I think I'm emotionally much healthier. I think I'm physically healthier. I think I've got a pretty good perspective on what it means to do this and not take any of the praise or criticisms too personally. And I think that that's something that was touch and go for a while, to be honest. So here we are.
And when might we see you in Australia again?
Probably in, I'd say about 6 months or so. You know, maybe about 6 months. I should know, but I don't.
Devin Townsend, thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me, man.